So what do you do with patient's information? Where can you store it? And how can you get some of these documents signed without having this paper trail and being HIPAA compliant? Hi, I'm Katie Harris, owner of NursePreneurs, and I'm here today with Kimball Walters, the owner of Elite Concierge Nurses. Kimball, thanks so much for being with us today. And our question is, how do we store patient information, or what do we do with it once we get information from patients? Because in the hospital, we're used to just putting it in the computer, but when you're in your own business, what do we do?
Hi, Katie. This is a great question. So personally, for my business, concierge business, I use the Google Suites. They are definitely HIPAA compliant. You can store all kinds of medical records there, and they are safe as far as being protected, patient privacy and that type of stuff. In addition, so when I have to send a contract, instead of taking a contract to be signed, I use the Adobe software and DocuSign. I've used DocuSign before. Those are all compliant. You know, you have personal information on them when you send them back and forth and trying to get signatures. Those are very convenient and safe ways of doing it. But the Google Suites, they have a lot to offer. You can do documents, spreadsheets, make folders, everything. And everything in those suites are protected for privacy and HIPAA compliance. So that's what I use. There's a lot of options out there, different software programs that offer the same security for patient information, but I like that one the best.
Okay, so but what if somebody feels like they need to use an EMR? Is there an EMR, like in a medical records, that has a place in concierge nursing, or is that just kind of overkill?
Well, there probably is something that's pretty expensive. I haven't bought into anything like that. Everything so far that I've needed, I've been able to find within my Google Suite. My Gsuite is what I'm talking about. They have lots of options for lots of things in there, and you can. I have a separate thing where my nurses that work with me can log in, and I can give them certain securities over certain information and block them out of other things. So it works great. As far as an EMR, I'm sure there's something out there because there's lots of EMRs that the hospitals use. They're probably pretty expensive. The number one EMR that I know of that I know is pretty expensive, but I love it, is Epic. Epic is a great one. It can do anything, but it's one that the hospitals are using. So I do not subscribe to that one. I find everything I need in the Gsuite.
Yeah, there's much a big difference between a Gsuite for $50 a year versus like Epic, which is thousands of dollars a year.
Oh yeah, a big difference.
Yeah,
Definitely a big difference.
So keeping your overhead down while at the same time protecting patient information, which is really a big priority, or should be a big priority in your business.
Definitely.
So, and the emails as well, the emails are HIPAA compliant if you send an email through Gsuite?
Yes, it is. Yes, they are. Everything in there, everything you work with throughout the Gsuite is protected. As long as you are working within that software, you are good on patient information.
Now, I have heard stories of concierge nurses who think that because they are a cash business, they don't have to subscribe to HIPAA laws or CMS laws or their rules and regulations. And we have heard some cases of people just not documenting at all. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I am not in agreement with that. I am definitely not in agreement with that. So I like to cover my tail, so to speak, on things. And no, it's not the same as the hospital. But if there's ever a question about what you're doing or what you've done with a patient, you always, I mean, it could be 6 months from now. I won't remember every single detail. So I take notes, I write notes, nurses' notes even, and I store them there. I make patient files and I store the information that I take while taking care of that patient in those files, and they're protected. So I'm not in agreement with not taking any kind of writing anything down or not keeping any information on a patient, because that can come back to bite you later. If there's any question about what kind of care you gave, or if your care was the cause of anything that happened after you finished dealing with that patient, you want to always be able to go back and review your notes and remember what happened to cover you. That's my
yeah, no, that's really important. I do want to stress that, because I have heard these stories and I have seen it firsthand. So if you're starting out in the concierge nurse business, you are not exempt from HIPAA. You're not exempt from any of the regulations that from the hospital or any other CMS organization. So make sure you know what you need to be keeping in documents and how long you need to keep it and what to do with that information. It's really important.
That's very correct. And I find that my patients really love it that I am compliant with that kind of stuff. They want their privacy. They want you to keep their stuff private and not try to sell it or give their name away to somebody to solicit to them. That gives them a sense of security, and they really appreciate that.
All right. Thanks so much, Kimball.
Yeah, you're welcome.
When you're ready to start or scale a concierge nurse business, NursePreneurs is the world's largest and most experienced group of concierge nurses. We can set up and launch your concierge nurse business in 90 days. In addition to all the concierge nurses in our own group, you also get your own personal one-on-one concierge nurse mentor who guides you through all the obstacles and challenges that are inherent in this type of business model. If you want to get started without the headache and the overwhelm of trying to figure out all the pieces on your own, you want to be supported throughout the entire process and start generating income in the next 90 days, then go to catieharris.com/application, complete the application, and schedule your interview today.